Howdy y'all, Lance from Permanent Records here, back with another Brown Acid video. As y'all know, I curate a series of compilations called Brown Acid. This is the latest volume. This is the 17th trip, on which I compile hard rock, heavy psych, and proto-metal 45s from my personal collection. These comps are fully licensed. We track down each and every one of these artists and get the rights to the material, and we license them for release officially for the compilation series. This is the 17th volume. We put these out twice a year, and we are about to put out the 18th volume in April 20th. For those of you who've been keeping track, we're going on 9 years of doing these compilations. We do about 10 tracks per comp, and we do them every Halloween and every 420 as well. And the series has been lauded by people from all over the world. We've sold a ton of copies of the LPs and the CDs. They're all streaming on all the digital streaming platforms as well. If you'd like to check them out, you're more than welcome to do it that way before you commit to buying physical media. But anyway, my labor of love that is Brown Acid is one of the deepest loves of my life. Not only do I curate the series, I collect the kind of 45s that end up on these comps, and I have a little box still left over from my last DJ gig right over here to my left, and I'm gonna show off a bunch of those 45s for y'all, share the information that I can think of off the top of my head. I've not taken a bunch of time to go research the release dates and so forth of all these records, but I want to share them with you in this video, and I hope you enjoy it. So I would like to start this video off with a record by an artist named Gary Dovio. He released this 45 back in the day called Buzzin'. And he recorded this when he was a youngster, high school age kid. The backside of this bad boy is Dream Woman. And he released this under the name Gary Dovio with Max, which is what he was calling his band. I'm almost positive it was just him in the studio. I can't recall the backstory on this. We licensed this a long time ago. But the amazing part of tracking down the artists on these 45s. Oh, and we comped this track Buzzin' on Brown Acid a few trips ago. So when I contacted Gary to license Buzzin' for Brown Acid, he told me he had unreleased recordings. I said, Gary, please share them with me. I would love to check them out. And now, finally, after all this time, we have an LP of unreleased Gary Dovio material out on Writing Easy, a full-length album. The copies we have in our web store now are on this blue and white splatter-colored vinyl. These are limited to 500 copies. I'm sure they will go quickly and be gone forever. We have liner notes, printed liner notes inside here. Liner notes were written by the legendary Paul Major of Endless Boogie, but more importantly, record collector fame with his Feel the Music zines, and then subsequently the book. And anyway, I'll just read the little clip of the liner notes from the hype sticker. Paul Major said, Ohio was a hotbed for hard rock at the time, with bands like James Gang, Glass Harp, Puba, Left In, Damnation of Adam Blessing. What you get here matches the style of any of those bands laid down, and that is straight from the horse's mouth. Paul Major himself said that, and I'm going to go ahead and cue up some Gary Dovio while we do the rest of this video. This is Buzzin', the title track in the background, and we'll play through the entirety of this record throughout the rest of this video. So that's that. those of you who watched the previous Brown Acid 45s video may have recalled me showing off this 45, Blue Erebus, on the King James label. This is a self-released psych monster, and at the time I said we had not licensed that record for Brown Acid yet. Well, in between that last video and now, we have licensed it, and I was lucky enough to get that copy I just showed you of the Blue Erebus 45 and this hand-drawn sleeve with the lyrics handwritten on the back of it for my own personal collection from one of the surviving band members. So that is one of my favorite recent finds. I'm going to be hard filing that in the Brown Acid archives. Just unbelievable. It pays to care enough to actually track the artists and license the material for these comps. There are so many psych and garage comps in the world that are cool, but that have never been legitimately licensed. And many of the artists have never been paid or contacted, etc. We at Brown Acid, Daniel Hall at Writing Easy and I, we care, and we actually take the time to track the artists and license the material legitimately. So anyway, enough about Brown Acid. Well, Brown Acid specifically. Let's get into some 45s from my record collection. Before we do that, I'd like to remind y'all to click the subscribe button on my channel. Please like this video if you like it. Please share the channel with a friend that you think would like it and help us grow so that I can spread the word about Brown Acid and Permanent Records and all things record related through this YouTube channel. Thank you in advance for doing that. I appreciate it. All right, next one out of the box. We're just gonna go for it. This is Bass Tar or Bass Tar Amber out of New York. This track is called, actually they may not have been from New York, but the track is called New York City. I tracked these guys down, and this is a cool like proto-metal, but it's from 1976, so calling it proto-metal isn't exactly right. This is some kind of hybrid between heavy metal and hard rock. It's a private pressing, and it's a fantastic record. They put out another 45 after this one. This one's from 1976, if I didn't say that already. And it's also great, comes with a picture sleeve. Unfortunately, the artists were not interested in working with us for the compilation series. It just, relationships within the band and whatever, circumstances beyond our control, did not allow for us to be able to license it. Anyway, all right, up next is the McNichol Brothers. The McNichol Brothers were in another band, and I'm spacing on what it was now. Oh, that's driving me nuts. But anyway, like I said, I didn't sit down and research the details of these before I got on here to record, but they did cover You, I, which I believe was a Rugby's tune originally, and that original is amazing, and this is a slightly later version. I think this record came out in the 80s, early 80s if I'm not mistaken, but that song's so good you could record that at any time. That is the epitome of a timeless jam right there. Man, it's driving me nuts. I'll think of what the McNichol Brothers were, what band they were in, and we'll get right back to you on that. All right. Jimi Hendrix, as you all know, was one of the gods of heavy psych guitar, and Sherman Marshall covered one of his classic tunes, Purple Haze, on this 45. This thing's out of control. I have a lot of 45s with Jimi Hendrix covers on them. I maybe have a couple of Jimi Hendrix 45s in my collection. I don't hard file that kind of stuff. Honestly, I love Jimi Hendrix just as much as the next guy, but I prefer amateur hour covers of his tunes that sound different and that you haven't heard a million times over. Here's, oh man, what a bummer on this picture sleeve. Someone decided to, or accidentally, I suppose, could have punched a hole in this May Blitz picture sleeve. If you haven't heard May Blitz, I highly recommend you go check them out immediately. If you like hard rock, heavy psych, etc. Fire Queen is a single of theirs. Obviously, the flip of this is Virgin Waters. May Blitz did at least 2 LPs, I think 2 only. Both of them are fantastic early 70s hard psych jams, and this is a white label promo of the Fire Queen 45. Yeah, and that's on the Paramount label from the early 70s. Just like, what wacky artwork. We got a gorilla woman in a bathing suit with just huge hat on. Unbelievable. You never know what you might find. All right, getting back into the private press world, Magi from Indiana. This is a self-released record that they were from either Indiana or Michigan. I'm spacing right now, but somewhere in the Midwest. And Magi not only did this single, they did an LP as well, I think with the same title, Win or Lose. We comped this Magi single on Brown Acid. And yeah, this was recorded in Uncle Dirty's Sound Machine in Kalamazoo, Kazoo as they call it, Michigan. Shout out to my buddies that do the I'd Buy That for $1 podcast out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. At least 2 of the hosts, all of them are originally from Kalamazoo. If you've never heard that podcast, I highly recommend checking it out. It's fantastic. They shine a light on underrated, cheap, and really great records that you may or may not have ever heard of before and or deserve your attention. Anyway, I'm actually recording a new episode with them this Sunday. That hopefully will be out sooner than later, but I won't tell you yet what the episode is going to be on. But stay tuned for that information. Masala. This is a Florida hard psych band. The date is not written or printed on the label of Burning Feelin' on Climax Records. But yeah, this record is absolutely fantastic. Adam from Ancient Greece reissued this, and he actually used my copy of the 45 as the master audio for the reissue because this is an extremely rare 45. I want to say it's high 3, almost 4 figures at this point, and that record is just out of control. I tried tracking that one and I could not find anyone from Masala, unfortunately, but Adam did and licensed that one for reissue. Cheers to you, Adam. Nice work. And also shout out to Rene Fiska from Dunyan. If you've never heard Dunyan, I highly recommend. They're a modern psych band from Sweden, and they have done a bunch of LPs. They're all fantastic, and they covered Burnin' Feelin' by Masala the last time I saw them up in Northern California. It was amazing. All right, Mason. You may be familiar with the LP by Mason. It's called Harbor. It's a private press hard rock monster, highly rated in Acid Archives. Well, Travelin', I believe this song is also on the LP. This 45 is, I think, more rare than the LP is. The B-side is the Golden Sails, and yeah, that's a just fantastic 45. Here is another exceptionally rare one. This is Mass Temper, Gravedigger. I attempted to license this, and Numero Group beat me to it, unfortunately. Big Mac is the flip of this 45 on Kicks Records, Kicks International to be exact. This is just a very, very heavy psych 45, a really, really dark one. I believe this record was comped on Acid Nightmares, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it's just smoking. Unbelievable stuff. All right, here we go. This is brown acid through and through. So similar to the Gary Dovio 45, I contacted, with the help of Tara, my girlfriend, Pterodactyl on Instagram, if you want to check out her record collection. She posts some things from her own private stash there. She's a DJ and just an amazing person all around. But anyway, we contacted Master Dance from Detroit, Michigan. They released this promo only 45. I think they pressed about 100 copies of this bad boy. Feeling Dead back in 1974. The flip side of this is called En Route to Fame. And Master Dance, like Gary Dovio, had unreleased recordings as well. I should have the LP up here on my shelf, but I don't see it immediately, so I won't go digging around for it. But if you want to hear the unreleased recordings that they recorded around the same time as this Feelin' Dead 45, go to our website right now, permanentrecordsla.com. You can buy the LP of unreleased recordings. They're also streaming on all the digital streaming platforms. That's some Motor City, hard rock, heavy psych stuff. Just unbelievably good, and it's crazy that that stuff never came out back in the day, and that the 45 exists at all, to be honest. Yeah, if you dig MC5, Stooges, Grand Funk, all that Michigan hard rock from the late 60s and early 70s, you're going to want to check out Master Dance. They're unsung heroes. All right, here's another one from the Midwest, Medusa. Medusa was a Chicago band. Numero Group, actually, I think the Medusa record is pretty obviously visible on my shelf here. Medusa did 145 called Strangulation back in the day, and Numero Group licensed that for their Dark Scorch Canicles album. And then they also, with this amazingly like blacklight poster crushed velvet style jacket design, which I actually, here's a little personal story. Okay, so let's finish the Medusa story real quick. Okay, so Chicago band, they released this 145 back in the day. That's the 45 Strangulation with Temptress on the B-side. I have a copy with a personal note from one of the surviving band members who I got in touch with. His name is Pete. So anyway, Medusa releases this 45, has a bunch of unreleased recordings, and Numero Group released them on this LP called First Step Beyond. Anyway, the artwork, as you can see on this album cover, I don't know if you can see that texture, but it's like crushed velvet, basically, kind of like the Bee Gees' Odessa album cover, or better yet, a blacklight album poster, or a blacklight poster that's textured, right? So Medusa put this out, or Numero put out this album by Medusa, I should say, and right around the time this came out, the first Fuzz album, Ty Segall and their band Fuzz, and I recommended to Ty, I think, who was working at the shop at the time, that he do a limited edition version with a similar album cover style, and they did. There was a limited edition Fuzz record that came out in very similar packaging, and it's really cool and very collectible at this point, long out of print, at least that version of it anyway. And that's the story behind Medusa from Chicago. As many of you know, I had a store in Chicago, Illinois. That's where I started my first store back in 2006. So I consider that city very special, and I loved living there. I just could not handle the weather. So I have a soft spot for all things Chicago in general, including Medusa and Numero Group. All right, here we go. Next one up is the Mine Garage. This track is called Asphalt, or the good track off this 45, the banger. It's called Asphalt Mother. Mine Garage also did a major label LP. This 45 came out on a label called Morning Glory, Glori. I believe that was their own label, but don't quote me on that. But that's a banger. Here's a really cool one that I don't know anything about, but I should definitely investigate further. This is a band called Middle Earth. I haven't listened to this in a while, but I believe this is more on the proggy side. Probably would have fit in well on the Dark Scorch Canticles compilation. It's on the MGK Records label from 1977. Surely a self-released affair here. Yeah, if you like the heavy prog stuff, this one is of interest and fairly obscure. All right, to take it back a little bit, back to reality, here's a major label by the Moonrakers. This track, Love Train, is a banger. I don't know anything about the Moonrakers. Almost positive they did an LP. This one's on the Shamley label, and this track, I got this kind of early on in my 45 collecting days, and I used to play this all the time at the Black Boar. I haven't listened to it in a little while, but I do have a fond memory of it being fantastic. All right, this one is, according to the notes on the paper sleeve here, a Georgia Rock 45. I have no idea where I picked this up. The band is called the Magnum Band. The track on the A side is You Can Have It. It's on Perfection Sound Incorporated Records, or PSI, if you will. And yeah, it says it's from Georgia on the label. That's all I know about this bad boy. Again, that's a 45 that I bought many years ago, and I don't remember anything else about it aside from the fact that I thought it was good enough to file it, and it remains filed, hard filed, in my personal collection. All right, Give Me Your Love by the Magic Stray, yet another one that I own and I have not played in a long time. It's been many years since I had a regular DJ night, but when I did, I played fresh stuff every week at the same bar for 6 years straight. And yeah, I was buying records hot and heavy back then, and that's when I picked this up. Magic Stray, I brought that out to the last DJ gig that I did at a local place for the Death Chant and Early Mood show, both Riding Easy Records bands, and I got tapped to do the DJ gig for that. This is a Canadian record. The band's called Morse Code Transmission. The track title is called Satan's Song. Show me a 45 that has Satan in the song title, I'm gonna buy that sight unseen. There's not a whole lot of them, and this one is a banger. The LP, it's a little on the proggy side, but it's a banger, and it, yeah, there's an LP, at least one LP by the band Morse Code Transmission that I highly recommend checking out as well. All right, more major label fodder. We got Mount Rushmore, Stone Free, yet another Jimi Hendrix cover. Mount Rushmore, you may have seen the LP. There's more than one LP by Mount Rushmore, actually. But yeah, they're great. Just a hard rock band from the late 60s and early 70s that yeah, did some killer stuff and deserves more attention than they get. All right, here's a wild one. The band on this 45 is called Mouse and the Boys. The track title is Excedrin Headache number 69. Just, you can't make this stuff up, right? So this is a heavy psych 45. A little on the garagey tip, but definitely brown acid territory. Fully psychedelic and just kind of wild. Anyway, I tracked down one of the surviving members of this band to try to license this song for brown acid, and he is a born again Christian and wants absolutely nothing to do with a compilation called Brown Acid and or to have his past dug up. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes. We are licensing material from artists on the rig, and most people are really excited to work with us and have their old material re-released. And some people are just like, that's in the past, let's keep it there, and please don't bother me anymore. And that's how that particular conversation went with the guy from Mouse and the Boys. All right, here's a wild one. I don't know anything about this aside from what's printed on the label. It's a self-released production on a cavity or a cavity. The track title is Mountain King. Yeah, just wild. The only info on here is that it's a copyright 1970 to D. Craig. The track title is Mountain King on a cavity production, and yeah, that's all the info you can glean from that particular record, which then leaves you with a whole lot of nothing to try to get to the bottom of. And that's why that 45 just exists in my personal collection, and it has not been comped on Brown Acid, unfortunately, because that's a really great record and I would love to comp it at some point. Muse, this is a cool record. It's called Sunshine Road. I'm almost positive Numero Group licensed this for Acid Nightmares, if I'm not mistaken. If not, maybe they did it on their more recent psychedelic funk comp, If There's a Hell Below. Anyway, it's owned, as far as I know, at least the license is under Numero Group's control. This is a banger. I believe this is an African American rock group. This record's from 1972. I bought my copy of Muse, Sunshine Road. Both sides of this 45 are actually really good. The flip of it's called A Better Day. And I bought my copy from Rob Severe from Numero Group originally. He and I go way back to my Chicago days. We've been doing business together for a very long time. And kudos to him and the rest of the folks at Numero Group. They do an amazing job. Mushroom. This is a European banger. I can never remember which country these guys are from. I want to say Belgium, but I could be mistaken. Anyway, Where Do I Belong is a banger. Crying for You, I think, is the one that I actually play most regularly in DJ sets. The picture sleeve of this, same on both sides. This is on Areola Records, and that's a major label if you didn't know that already. And yeah, that's regularly spun in the past in my DJ sets. Okay, Ronald Myers on his guitar with Pursuit on Palladium Records. This is another one that I at least tried to track. I can't really remember if I actually was able to get a hold of Ronald Myers or not at this point. I don't believe this has been comped on Brown Acid yet, but you could potentially hear it on a future volume. This is a Texas record, and I got it from my pal Jason Cronus from at the Austin Record Convention. Yeah, Ronald Myers. Highly recommend checking that one out. That's a banger for sure. Okay, right back into the Brown Acid realm. this record smokes. This is a dark, heavy psych banger. The track title is Death Head, for Christ's sakes, and it rips. If you are a fan of the more, proto-metal, but also heavily psychedelic side of Brown Acid, Punch Death Head should be in your weekly playlist. Get down with Punch. I think these guys are from New York. Almost positive the label is New York based, Raftus Records, and we license that for inclusion on an early volume of Brown Acid. Also, a record that has a little history between Tara and I. Little did I know, before Tara and I met, I contacted her because she had this record in her collection on Discogs, and she was one of the few, and there were no copies of the 45 for sale. I contacted her asking her if she might be interested in selling it. She did not want to sell it, but said thanks for the inquiry. And many, many years later, we got together, and we've been together ever since. So Punch Death Head is a 45 that I hold. It has a special place in my heart because of my relationship with my girlfriend, Tara. All right, so I don't know if I can say this on YouTube or not, but you can read what it says on there, right? This is a great Durham record from 1972. Feline Woman is the track title. It's just kind of a heavy glam stomper, hard rock for days from this band, and you should definitely check them out. Someone reissued their LP recently. I want to say it was Lion Productions, if I'm not mistaken, so definitely check that out. And yeah, that's the 45. All right, let's go to Germany for a minute. So we got, I don't know if this record is pronounced Red Fug or Fugue, but here we go. This is a crazy rare German private pressing. I've been working with some friends in Germany about potentially licensing this record for Brown Acid for a while now, and this is a test pressing of that particular 45. Not only is this record extremely rare, as are most European private pressings, they just did not do that kind of thing there as much as Americans did. The test pressing is exceptionally scarce, and I have a copy of it thanks to some buddies in Germany who I did some trading with. Here you go. El Ritual. This band is from Mexico. Contemporaries of the Emilio Zapata band, La Revolución de Emilio Zapata. Satanus is the satanic track by El Ritual. They have an LP as well. It's got crazy psychedelic artwork on it. This thing is a groovy banger, kind of like Santana on more LSD. Highly recommend checking that one out. All right, this is a two-sided banger that we licensed both sides of for Brown Acid. The track Wayfarer, and the other side is Farmer by Riverside on their own Yard Records label. This is just stunning stuff. I honestly have no idea how I discovered this originally, but yeah, I was able to get in touch with the band and procure a copy of this 45 and license both tracks for Brown Acid, and I'm super stoked that both of those tracks are on our comps. Raj and Pip. This doesn't look like much, but Raj and Pip were amazing. There is an LP worth of material on the Rise Above record label out of the UK. And yeah, all of the material is fantastic. This single contains a couple of the best songs, From a Window and Warlord. Highly recommend checking this out. And that's going to bring this episode of Brown Acid Archives video number 2 to a close. Thank you very much for joining us. Again, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe down below and stay tuned for future content. I will be back with another one of these videos soon. Until then, take the brown acid.